Look at this delicious seafood boil. It's my first day of vacation and seafood is the first thing I knew I wanted to make. Crab. Look at this lobster tail, y'all, dipped in this butter. I'm going to give you all the ingredients with a simple butter sauce. We also had mussels, potatoes, sausage. Everything was so delicious. So let's get to cooking. Starting off, these are my ingredients. I started off with pork neck bones. This smoked meat is going to flavor the broth. Of course, I have live mussels. I have a dozen eggs. I have some sweet corn. I have onions to also flavor the pot, as well as potatoes and beef sausage. And y'all, look at these lobster tails. 4 lobsters for $40. They were $9.99 each. This is easily the best price I've seen on these lobster tails anywhere. And this was purchased in Hilton Head, South Carolina. I have a few pounds of snow crab and this beautiful North Carolina shrimp. And of course, some beer. So this snow crab was a great price at Kroger. It was $12.99 a pound. So this bag ended up costing $54 and I just can't wait to dig in. So I brought my huge stock pot from home to cook this boil to our vacation rental, and you want to add water to it. The amount of water will depend on how much seafood you have. So to flavor my water, I added some garlic powder, onion powder, and Old Bay seasoning. That's my preferred choice. And then you're going to see the other items that I add to build the flavor. So the first thing I'm going to do is start off with my pork neck bones. They were $3.59 a pound, about 1.5 pounds. If you don't have smoked pork, you could use a ham hock. So if you don't have smoked neck bones, you could use ham hock, which is, I think, the pork knee, if I'm not mistaken, or either a smoked turkey wing. Just some kind of smokiness adds a delicious flavor to the broth, and this meat is delicious. Usually you'll see this type of smoked meat used for soul food greens, which I've certainly done on my channel. So I'm just giving it a good rinse, and then I'm going to put it in my stock pot. I'm going to let this boil for about 45 minutes. That will give me time to prep everything else, including the eggs that I already have boiling. So starting with my vegetables, I gave my potatoes a nice rinse and scrub, and now I'm just drying them off, and I cut them in half, as well as an onion. So the kind of cut you make for your potatoes really depends on the size of your potatoes. And I have a lemon. Lemon is important for flavoring with seafood, so I washed that well and then quartered it. You could add more lemon if you like it. I just start off with 1. Next up is our beef smoked sausage. I just cut it into big chunky pieces, and I have a stick of butter. Butter is delicious flavor. I did use unsalted because our Old Bay has sodium in it. So this butter I'm going to use to roast or bake my crab legs in the oven. So snow crab comes pre-cooked. So I just put my stick of butter in this aluminum pan and baked it in the oven until it was melted. So the melted butter is browned, which is completely okay. My eggs have boiled, and I have my sausage and potatoes already in with my pork neck bones. So now I'm just going to go ahead and start seasoning my butter. So I'm adding Old Bay. I like to season every level of a dish that I cook. You could also add onion powder, garlic powder, fresh onions to this, but what I'm going to do is give my snow crab a rinse, and then I'm just going to rub it into the butter. You don't want your snow crab to be dripping wet because you don't want to dilute the butter. If you want it to dry off your crab legs before you dipped it in your butter, you certainly could. I just didn't do that step. And if you notice, I am trying not to get the body or the knuckle part of the crab super wet. And when I do, I squeeze that white part so that it doesn't hold too much water and dilute the flavor. And then I just rub both sides of the crab leg in our seasoned butter. I squeeze the juice from a few wedges of lemon onto the crab. The butter and the lemon will make a absolutely delicious flavor for our snow crab that we're just going to heat up in the oven until it's heated through, because remember, it is pre-cooked and you don't want it overcooked. Look how gorgeous it is. Onto our mussels. Mussels are pretty easy to clean. You just want to look for the hairy piece. It's called the beard, and you just rip it out. If you don't do it before you cook it, you can do it afterwards. It's not that pleasant to chew on, but it won't hurt you if you do happen to eat it. So just go through each mussel one by one and pull the beard off. This is the perfect time to also make sure your mussels close completely. These are alive, so if they don't close completely, then they probably are dead, and you don't want to eat dead seafood because you don't want to get sick. So I added some water. I let my mussels soak for maybe about 10 minutes or so. Since they are alive, this should help them to open and close a little bit to filter the fresh water and help get out any sand that may be in them. But I never really had super sandy mussels. It's different than, say, clams that do tend to have a lot of sand in them. So after I rinse them, I am just going through and making sure I pulled off all the beards and that they all close. I'm putting them in the same hand. So this one, if it's open, I squeeze it to see if it's going to close. If it doesn't close quick enough for me, then I just discard it. Maybe a handful, maybe 4 or 5 or 6. I actually discard it. I'm going to roast these in the oven with my crab legs, which I don't recommend. I think I may have cooked them a little bit too long, although they were still delicious, but it's just as easy to just boil the mussels separately and add some seasoning to your water that you boil them in. But mussels are incredibly beautiful. And then just pull off the beards as you go. And discard any that do not close for you. So I just wanted to show you the water from cleaning the mussels. Look at that brownness and the broken shells that stayed in it. So definitely be sure to rinse off your seafood. I have beautiful sweet corn that I just broke in half with my hand. My eggs are hot. That's why I cooked them early so they could have time to cool down before I peeled them. My sister boiled some delicious North Carolina shrimp because I'm allergic. So we actually make this in one of the pans that came in our rental home. It looks absolutely beautiful and it smelled divine. I'm just mad that I couldn't taste it, but that was that. So we have our potatoes, our sausage, and our corn in here boiling, so things are going. Towards the end, I added my lobster tail. So I already rinsed these off with water, and I just have them sitting in a bowl. These were the lobster tails that were $9.99 each, y'all. Where I'm from in South Carolina, it could easily cost $20 for one of these lobster tails, and they were absolutely delicious. So I ended up going back to that same Kroger during vacation to buy more of them. They were that good. So I just nestled them in and let them cook until they turned beautifully red. And look at our seafood boil after I drained off the liquid. I have my neck bones, my lobster, my sausage, potatoes, egg, corn. You can add more Old Bay on top of it. You can drizzle it with seasoned butter. I like to make my seasoned butter by melting butter and then adding lemon juice and garlic powder. So it's a lemon garlic butter sauce. I peeled one of my lobster tails and I dipped it into this butter, y'all, and it was so amazing and tender and flavorful. You have to try the simple sauce. You could sprinkle parsley on it for more color, but honestly, it's not even needed. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel.